Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabanson, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a hell of a show in store for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So yesterday, something happened that I had never done in my life, which is follow the NBA draft, right? The NBA draft came on where I am around 1 a.m. in the morning. So I'm like, okay, I had never watched it before. So what I thought it was going to be was Adam Silver was going to come out there, call people back and forth like 1, 2, 3. I didn't know that he'll say, okay, the Atlanta Hawks, you have 5 minutes to make your decision. They call up a person and they go through all of the hugs and kisses and crying, and you go up there and you shake hands. Then they talk about, and then number 2, and I'm like, whoa, this thing is taking forever. Now, why was I interested in this particular draft? I think I was interested for the reason a lot of people are interested. I was interested to see what number Bronny James, the first son of LeBron James, was going to be picked in this NBA draft. And we've heard a bunch of things. Some people thought he was going to be the first pick by the Lakers at number 17. Some people thought he was going to be the pick at 55, right? So I stayed up to watch, and I watched, and I watched, and I watched, and I watched, and then I saw the Lakers, their pick at 17. I forgot the player that selected, but they ended up not selecting Bronny James. And I think I saw the 18th pick, and I'm like, man, I'm going to bed. Around that time, it was like 3 a.m. in the morning. Like, I'm going to bed, and I'll catch the rest in the morning. So what happens? I woke up this morning and I came across a post from where did I see this post from? It was on my Instagram, and it was from ESPN Bet and I think ESPN NBA. And it had a pretty interesting post. It was a post that was published apparently 13 hours prior. And we want to show you the thumbnail of what the post says. It says, Bronny James is the 6th most bet on player to be the number 1 pick. And I'm like, wow. So when I woke up and I saw that he wasn't even selected at all in the first round, I was like, man, 10 people must have lost tens of millions of dollars betting on him. And then there's also an article that came out by the New York Times that we actually want to get into, and then we're going to get into some of the things that some of the people had to say. But let me get into this New York Times article right now. So the article starts off with the headline, Bronny James goes unselected on night 1 of NBA draft for LeBron on edge. It continues on. Bronny James was unselected on day 1 of the 2024 NBA draft. All 30 picks went by Wednesday night without LeBron's son's name being called, leaving his NBA future up in the air heading into Thursday night's draft festivities. Bronny, 19, going undrafted in round 1 wasn't exactly a shock. He had been pegged as a likely second-round pick throughout the draft process. He underwent 2 individual workouts this summer with the Lakers and the Suns, although he had no opportunities to work out with other teams. And he says, Rich Paul of Clutch Sports, Bronny's agent, said he wouldn't entertain two-way offers, instead requiring an NBA contract. This is nothing new, Paul said per ESPN. The goal is to find him a team that values your guy and try to push him to get there. It's important to understand the context and realize that this has always been a strategy with many of my clients throughout the years, especially those in need of development like Bronny. My stuff is by design. It then continues on. Bronny has one underwhelming season at USC, averaging 4.8 points per game in 25 contests. Bronny's season, though, was impacted by cardiac arrest that he suffered during a preseason practice in July. And then it says a few other things. LeBron was sentimental on the morning of day 1 on social media as his son hopped to kick off the his NBA career. Not feeling in the effing world better than being around raising my boys to men. LeBron wrote on Instagram, Pops over here getting emotional as hell just thinking about y'all journey so far, right? So that's what that had to say. Now I want to read some of the things that people some of the things that people said on that post. One person said, that's not gambling, that's donating. Another person said, whoever placed his bet is crying out for help. Another person said, wow, people just throwing away money. Another person said, bunch of casuals having access to a betting app should be a crime. Somebody else said, that's a money laundering option. Another person said, just give me the money at that point, because ain't no effing way. Another person said, honestly, I may bet 100K on this not happening. It would almost certainly be tampering if it happened. Another person said, the man is not getting drafted. Another person said, This better be a plus 17 million. Another person said, bet he going to start in China. So people were having a few things to say there. Now, what are my thoughts on this? What surprises me is the volume of people that thought he was going to get drafted that high. And I think that a lot of that sentiment has to do with what has been said about Bronny in media over the last 2 months now. If you leave it to the guys on television, a lot of people have been promoting Bronny James and saying that, you know, the Lakers can draft him. He could possibly play with LeBron James. He could be a defensive player and all of that. But when you look at the data, meaning you look at his resume, you look at what he did in college, you also look at his stature. I think he's 6'1", 6'2", right? And you look at the type of league that we're in. If you look at, for instance, the team that just won the NBA championship in the Boston Celtics, they have pretty big wings. You have Drew Holiday, you have Jason Tatum, you have White, you have Jaylen Brown. You're going to need a compilation of players like that to go against those guys. So some size and some length, some two-way players. And if you look at Bronny James, he doesn't really fit the bill. Now, if he had a stellar a college career, then that would have definitely helped him, which now brings into question him refusing to work out with all of 2 teams. And those 2 teams being the Phoenix Suns and Los Angeles Lakers. I don't really think that helps him. Now, obviously, Rich Paul, his agent, basically crystallized the strategy and the idea behind it, basically saying that, look, if you're not willing to give our client a contract, then, you know, there's nothing to discuss here. Now, in the case of Bronny, I think that would have helped him because it would have given them more information, more data for them to scrutinize, for them to analyze, and then be able to have more information and make an informed decision. But when you remove that possibility from them and you're essentially making demands, then all of a sudden you find yourself in a tricky situation. Now, here's what's interesting about the entire thing. Bronny James is projected to be the 55th pick. But if you listen to the way he's talked about in media, you would think he would be the #1 draft pick coming into the draft. And with the way that Rich Paul is positioning him and positioning himself, you would think that he was a top prospect or a top 5 prospect or top 10 prospect in the entire draft. But in reality, he's not. So there's a little bit of delusion is there, and I think that played into people who listen to people on ESPN and all of this stuff, sit up there, twerk it up on TV, knock over drinks all day long, and who rarely have the courage to actually call it down the line. They kind of fed into the hype, and basically what happened was a lot of people lost their money last night. A whole bunch of people. Thinking that he was, it wasn't as if they said he was going to be top 5. They thought he was going to be #1. And as for someone that watched the first one of 18 picks, you can see that they really had some great prospects out there, some really great prospects. So for him to get selected against over all of them, there must be some element of delusion here. One sympathizes. There must be. But these are my thoughts. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about all those people that bet that money, #1? And #2, where do you think he ultimately goes in this NBA draft? Do you think he goes at 55 or another spot? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. And we catch you guys on the next show. Peace.